quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello and welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 15. My name is Lars Casteen. I'm here again. It's a beautiful Thursday night. The Northeast has just been destroyed by what my father would call a hurricane. He's from a very specific region of southeastern Virginia, and he has a normal accent except for that word specifically. Of course, we all know the word is hurricane. He says hurricane. And that's, frankly, enough about me. Let's meet everybody who is here tonight. Zoe Chernicoff is here. David Chernicoff is also here.
I sure am.
And he might be from the same place that my father is from, judging by that accent. Robin Lange is here.
Hi.
Hi. And Matt Humphreys.
Hello, hello.
Matt, you were mentioning a common experience that people have. And this is just something I wanted to talk about before we got into our game. But you saw a movie with your parents, or with one of your parents. I have to be honest with you, and this is me being completely truthful. I don't remember at all what it is that you said. I don't really recall what
listening?
It is that I was not listening at that time. I'm listening now, though. That's my promise to you. But you were mentioning like a movie that you saw with your parents that was an uncomfortable viewing experience. And I feel like that's something that is a pretty common thing that happens with people. And I was wondering what it was that you said that I missed because I was busy with so many other things at the same time. This whole podcast we were talking about it.
It's just a ploy for Lars to get Matt to repeat something that he said 18 minutes ago.
Well, yeah. So I've this has not been the only time that I've watched uncomfortable scenes with my parents, because that seems to be just sort of a leitmotif throughout my life, unfortunately. You know, like they're constantly recurring. Like one of the first movies I watched as a kid with my parents was like the Eiger Sanction in like maybe first grade.
So the only thing I know about Eiger Sanction is that it is the Clint Eastwood movie from the 70s where he climbs a mountain and is very racist.
I don't remember the racism because, like I said, I was in first grade.
There are other bad things that happen in that movie.
You know, I was in first grade, so it was the first time like I had seen a naked lady on screen with my parents, and it was very, very uncomfortable.
I would like to point out that if you Google Clint Eastwood climbs a mountain and is very racist, the internet knows exactly what you're looking for. It goes ahead and gives you the Eiger Sanction right away. So good work, Google.
I think it was based on a Trevanian novel.
I thought you were going to say it was based on a true story of Clint Eastwood climbing a mountain and being racist.
And being racist.
I would believe both parts of that, frankly. I've seen the man's movies.
It's a documentary.
We went and saw Pretty in Pink the other night because it was the only thing playing here. And there's a new Clint Eastwood movie coming out that, David, I feel like you had some good zingy one-liner about the poster, but it's just like the current day version of Climbs a Mountain and is racist. But
yeah.
Oh, it's called like Macho Bravo or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Cry Macho.
Can I say American Sniper made me leave the theater so angry, speaking of like Clint Eastwood movies?
Did he direct that?
He did direct that. It's like a very reductionist view of what masculinity means, in my opinion.
Wait,
like,
from Clint Eastwood?
Shocking.
I know, right? Who would have thought?
That's surprising.
I heard that in that one, they don't even climb a mountain.
They don't.
Lars, your question to Matt, this is not my parents, but my sister and I, when she was in high school and I was in middle school, we had a run where we went to the movies twice in a row, like just the two of us hanging out, and the two movies we saw.
Okay.
I don't even know this story.
Is that right? The two movies we saw were American Pie and then Eyes Wide Shut. And my sister
God.
and I don't know that we've been to a movie together, just the two of us. We just were like, we just bailed the whole project.
Now, I
That's
was
amazing.
not part of the conversation that we were referencing, so I still don't know what movie Armatt's talking about.
I don't know either, and I was part
I
of it.
still want to know what the whole thing was with your parents, Armatt.
Yeah, what's the
We're gonna
parents
have to
thing?
record a whole nother
Okay.
podcast to get him to say.
The thing with my parent, it was the recent film Call Me By Your Name. I was dating someone,
Oh, right.
and it was like
Yeah.
relatively early on, and she had
Yeah.
heard good things about the film, and so she was like, but didn't know that much about it beyond
Yeah, I
that,
wouldn't watch
like
that
it
with
was
my
supposed to
parents.
be pretty good. So she suggested it as a movie we could all watch together, and it turns out it's relatively explicit in its exploration of desire. And that is not a great movie to watch with your girlfriend or partner of, whatever, and your parents. Probably. I don't know. I can't speak for you and your parents. Maybe you guys will love it.
I feel as though the phrase relatively explicit exploration of desire may as well have been a critic's quote on the poster for that film. I mean, that's like exactly what that movie is.
Like, that movie was a great date movie. I remember going to see it when I first started dating my fiance, but the idea of then watching that, thank you. But the idea of watching that with my parents, I mean, I watched Outlander with my mom. So like I'm pretty comfortable watching a lot of shit with my parents, but there's something about that and like the sensuality of things like the peach scene.
Yeah, that peach scene is messed up,
that's
guys.
a line that I would sit there and my dad would just be confused and my mom would be confused and I wouldn't be confused, and that would just make it really bad.
Exactly. You get so many levels, right? There's like not only what you're thinking, but there's how you want to be presenting yourself about what you're thinking or not, right? And then there's, I mean, speaking for myself, it would just be desperately trying not to look at anyone else because you don't want
Right,
to see
right,
what they're
yeah.
thinking or how they're presenting themselves as thinking.
And my dad can absolutely be a troll sometimes. So he would also, like, during the moments of like deep intimacy, would probably, if he started to get uncomfortable, say some really ridiculous joke or comment and just throw
That's good.
everything to the wind and would just ruin the whole thing. And we would just all devolve into laughter and ruin the movie.
Imagine how bad the opposite would be if during that scene somebody says something, he's like, shut up, I want to see this exact part with this peach.
You guys, this is very important.
You're ruining this.
This is beautiful.
You're really taking me out of the moment here.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our game right now. It's nice hearing about all these uncomfortable moments and having a few uncomfortable moments of our own. But let's get into this game, shall we? If you are enjoying Tabletop Gold, please rate and review us on your podcast app of choice. That's the one thing we ask of you.
Please.
It helps us so
Just
much.
do it.
It's
And it helps
literally
people
the
find the
only thing you can
show.
do to help us.
4 days ago, your mutual friend, Rin Savinksi, found each of you and asked you to help investigate Gauntlight, the ancient lighthouse a short distance away from town, which had recently started illuminating at night with a pale blue light. Now, after several days of investigation and hardship, you find yourself at the lighthouse's base just as the moon is starting to rise. Before your eyes, a blood stain on the oddly well-preserved lighthouse's floor has risen up into the air and taken on the form of the sorcerer who lived here hundreds of years ago, Belcora Haravex. This bloody figure has started rotating in front of you like a lighthouse, and her eyes and mouth have just opened and started blasting you with a bright blue light that burns skin wherever it touches. Now, before we do anything else, there are a couple things I want to clarify because we sort of were in a hurry at the end of last week's episode. It is dim light right now. All you have is the moon. And dim light in this game makes it so that things are concealed from you. In order to target it, you have to pass a DC 5 flat check because you kind of can't see it. Flat check, you just roll a D20. So you have to make a 5 on a D20 in order to target it. So these dim light rules only really apply to Mag and Vadim because Norman and Trill have low light vision. So my question is, are any of the four of you carrying a torch which will shed 20 feet of bright light around you?
I think Vadim would. He has a free hand.
So Vadim is carrying a torch. Got it. Okay, and I want to get a sense of where each of you is positioned in this room as well.
So Norman is right outside the south door in the main chamber that was where the Mitflit and Maggot were when we first came in.
I think Maggot would be right inside the door, keeping a close eye on the pool of blood as the sun sets.
Trill would have probably stuck to the wall, remembering that this pool of blood made her uneasy.
I think Vadim's up adjacent to it since he hasn't seen it before, so he's interested.
Okay. So we've got your positions all set. Mag and Vadim are right up next to the bloodstain, investigating it. Trill is back against the wall, and Norman is hiding outside to the south, craning his neck to see what's happening. So this image of Belcora Harovek's made from blood has just risen from the bloodstain in the floor, started rotating, and beams of cold blue light are shining from her eyes and open mouth. I need each of you to make a fortitude save.
Even though I'm outside the door?
Yep.
Trill got a 16?
13 for Norman.
13 for Vadim. Unlucky 13.
13 for Mag.
Whoa.
Okay.
A lot of 13.
Each of you has failed this saving throw.
That's not good.
You each feel your skin burning away as this blue light shines over you. Blisters and decay start spreading across your flesh as you stand there. And you are each going to take 11 points of negative damage. And you are all dazzled for 1 round.
Ooh.
You know, this light has just shone straight into your eyes. Like the room is blurry in front of you. And that means that everything in this room is concealed from you. So even if you got a torch, even if you can see in dim light, everything that you see, everything that you do is dealing with things that are concealed from you. At this point, I would like everybody to please roll for initiative.
Follow-up question while we're doing that.
Dang.
Are
Yeah.
we required to sing the song Razzle Dazzle 'em from Chicago? Or is that just optional?
Anybody who sings it is required to pay the licensing I think requirements for
sure.
it. So if you've got that kind of scratch, I say go for it.
Hey, Lars.
Yes.
Good question. What episode
Yes.
is this?
This is episode 15.
So did we break off a 5?
Yeah, great point. We did, in fact, break off a 5. I meant to mention that. Yes, everybody's hero points are reset to 1 right now. So this bloody image opens its mouth and appears to inhale, drawing blood from the body of one creature in its line of sight. That means it cannot target Norman. I'm going to roll a D3 to see who it targets. And it is going to target
Not me, not me, not me, not me.
Mag.
I mean, that's not great either.
Sure it is.
I need Mag right now to make a fortitude save, please.
Luck be a big lady. 24 to save.
Ooh, look at you. Look at Big Mag over here with the good fortitude save.
Yeah.
That is going to be a success, meaning that you are going to start taking slightly less bleed damage as this inhale starts sucking blood out of your skin as your body recoils in pain and blood starts coming out of you. So you are going to be taking persistent bleed damage right now equal to 1d10 per round.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, sure is.
That was the good option, just to clarify.
Yes, that was the good option. Here's what you need to know about bleed damage. If you're ever healed up to your maximum hit points, it will automatically go away. You will take it at the end of your turn, and then you, like any other persistent damage, can make a flat check. You need to beat a 15 on a die in order to stop it. Otherwise, you will take it turn after turn after turn. Other people or you yourself can help give yourself an additional save against that bleed damage by using a medicine action to administer first aid. But it is right now Trill's turn. Trill, you have just seen this ghostly figure made out of blood suck blood from Mag's body. What do you do?
She's going to start with some lingering composition.
Okay, so that is a performance check.
So her performance check is... It's not as great as it usually is. It's a 16.
Okay, so that is a failure, meaning that you get the focus point back and that this next cantrip is going to last for 1 round.
Alas. So she is going to inspire courage then.
Everyone hears your pleasing song and is inspired to hit harder and to not be susceptible to fear effects.
I'm going to, for my second action, pull out my healing potion. And for my third action, use that healing potion.
Got it.
It's a minor healing potion. It's not amazing. But let's use that sucker. And it's 7. So that's not bad.
7. People are so good at rolling healing potions in this party.
Those
It's
have been kind to
wild
us.
me.
That's true.
Those can often just be 1, and then you're like, why did I make this particular choice?
So
Why did I spend all
she's-
that gold?
And the 2 actions.
Go get him, Mag and Vadim!
Yeah.
And it is now Norman's turn
And
from
I didn't
around
call
the
Norman
corner.
because Norman's hiding. They want to give him away.
But
Doesn't matter.
even if you did not call his name, or call him by his name, as they
or,
say,
or her own name.
or her own name,
What a peach, that Norman.
Oh.
No?
it is now Norman's
That was
turn.
good. I liked it.
So no one is near Norman, but if they were, they would hear him growling. And he is trying to figure out what on earth this thing is. So he's going to recall knowledge about it.
That would be religion or occultism.
All right, Norman is going to use occultism.
Norman sees this image of Belcora Haravex rise from the ground, and he immediately knows exactly what is going on with it. He is convinced you could, if you wanted to, spend a lot of time trying to wear it down and beat it up, which is very difficult to do because there's not really much of any way to do physical damage to it. Or he knows that he could try to get in there and try to wipe away enough of the bloodstain to disrupt the necromantic energies that are making this thing hang together. And he also knows that he could potentially use a religion check to exorcise this haunt.
Some dubious knowledge in there? I can't tell. There were so many different answers.
I don't think we're
I don't know. I
supposed
think
to
it all
tell.
cohered. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah, that sounded pretty
Okay.
pretty coherent.
I feel like we didn't have 2 different paths there where we had to
Yeah.
pick one. It's like
Was it
neither
religion-
thief nor Mitflit.
Both
Um,
Mifflets and thieves.
But that's the thing that's great about dubious knowledge is like you get 2 things when you critically succeed and you get 2 things when you critically fail.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, we'll hope this was a success and not a failure. It
Yeah,
seems-
I mean, it's one of the things I love about the secret checks in this game is that you get information and it's up to you to sort of puzzle out what to do with it.
right. And like try and guess how well you did. So Norman is going to take a page from Trill's book, and he is going to pull out one of his 2 minor healing potions and take it because he is also quite hurt right now.
For how many hit points?
7! It was right on the 5 brink, but...
Why are all of the healing potions 7? It's
Same reason
not
you
perfect.
keep rolling all those 20s, Lars.
Yeah.
Well, but the 20 is me rolling the highest number. 7 is the second highest number. That's the one major difference that I've seen. Anyway, it is now Mag's turn.
Mag pulls out her bedroll and begins trying to wipe up the blood that's on the floor in hopes of disrupting the curse.
Great. So give me a thievery check, please.
16 on the die for a 17.
And Mag gets down on her hands and knees with this bedroll, and just blood keeps seeping around her blanket. She looks up, sees this towering figure of this bloody woman on top of her, and you come to the realization that you just don't know enough about what you're doing to have any effect on this whatsoever. You have to be trained in thievery or higher in order to make any impact on this.
Oh, man. Well, just being injured and having no way to heal yet, she's going to duck back into the same hallway back where Norman is hiding in the main chamber.
As you're doing this, your hands are covered with blood because of the attempt to wipe up, but you are also still bleeding. So at the end of your turn, you are going to take 3 points of bleed damage, and I would love for you to make a flat check.
And that is a 15.
So Mag runs out the door and manages to hold her body together, and the blood stops. After only taking 3 points of damage, that is amazing.
Put it on the board.
That's amazing.
Mag.
It is now Vadim's turn. You are standing right in front of this rotating lighthouse-looking thing, and it's only you and Trill in the room right now. So you two are in the line of fire.
It's not great.
To mention another Clint Eastwood film.
So Vadim is shaking his head, trying to clear his vision, squinting his eyes, trying to see if this is the face from his vision.
Got it. You're talking about the dreams that Vadim has at night.
Yes.
This is not the face from your dreams.
So his eyes narrow, he squints, and a brief moment of disappointment passes across his face. His hand begins to glow, and he lays on hands on himself, back up to 13 hit points. And with his remaining 2 actions,
Please don't leave me.
he is going to grin at Trill and say, "Don't worry, little one. I do this all the time." It's kind of apparent from the quavering in his voice that maybe he doesn't do this quite all the time.
This particular thing is less familiar.
So it really sounds more like, "Don't worry, little one. I do this all the time," as he stares at this figure shaped of blood. And he begins to chant the Pharasman rites of exorcism. "By Pharasma, Lady of the Boneyard and Graves, I invoke you to send this foul spirit away and cleanse this place."
Wind starts blowing all around,
Norman's
Vadim's
growling.
hair gets pinned to his face.
Ribbons and Trill's hair flapping about.
Go ahead and give me that religion check.
That's probably not going to do it. 9 on the die for a 14.
And that 14 is not enough, as there's just a blast, this bloody shape in front of you inhales, and it starts sucking blood, this time from Vadim. I need a fortitude save from Vadim. And Vadim is now no longer dazzled, nor is anybody else.
Vadim gets a 19.
So that is a success, meaning
Nice.
that you will only take 1d10 bleed damage as you start bleeding from your face. And
That's rough. That's rough.
it's a real bummer. It's really not good. But you did pass. Trill, you see Wounds burst out on Vadim's face, and it is now your turn. What would you like to do?
Trill is trained in thievery. She's got a big skirt. She kind of takes a bunch of the fabric she has around her, and she's going to move next to Vadim. And a little nervous being this much closer to the thing, but she's going to go ahead and attempt that thievery check and try and mop up some of this blood. Damn. Not a great... It was a bad roll. The roll itself was not good, even with my modifier. Only a 13 total.
And that's it for Trill's turn. She runs up and tries to scrub away the blood, and this thing continues rotating in front of her, mouth opening and closing ominously. It is now Norman's turn.
All right.
Norman is outside the room. He just saw Trill fail to wipe up this blood. What would he like to do?
So he snarls to himself, all right, I'm going to go help her. And he goes in. He's using the corner of his cape. He's kind of rubbing at the blood and that is an 18.
And that 18 is not going to do it.
For fuck's sake, this thing.
What?
That was rude, Lars. That was
Norman
rude.
keeps scrubbing and scrubbing, and this thing continues to rotate, opening and closing its mouth, sucking blood from the creatures in the room with it. And it is now Mag's turn. Mag is outside the door. Her friends are inside, chanting on their knees, trying to scrub away at this sickening figure. And what does Mag do?
So Mag steps back into the room. Maybe she'll try and do that in such a way that she's maybe a little bit sort of concealed, hidden from it. And she'll try the religion check to banish the curse with all the confidence of a teenager who hasn't been asked to the prom, which incidentally, Mag was not. That is
Aww.
a 19 on the die.
Whoa.
For a 19.
So Mag gets in there and does her best.
Woo!
And Vadim looks over at Mag and is like, the stuff that she is saying kind of makes sense, but it's clear that she has no idea what she is saying.
This is her pretty in pink moment.
You need to have training in religion to be able to exercise this. But
Mag, did you
I
pick
am-
that up from me? I am not mad. I'm just impressed.
And that is going to be a hero point for Mag, because it is incredibly heroic, given that she doesn't have the training, and she is just going in over and over again, laying her body on the line. That is absolutely a hero point.
Plus, she
Sure.
revealed she wasn't asked to the prom. A lot of vulnerability and softness for Mag tonight.
That said, Mag's turn is over and she failed. It is now Vadim's turn.
Vadim will continue chanting and mutter briefly under his breath, "That will not stop me, you undead fiend." And he will make a religion check to try and continue to exercise this taunt.
So Vadim, blood pouring down his face, starts chanting. Incantations fill the room. Wind once again fills the air.
And that's a 24.
Woo!
And the image of Belcora starts spinning around faster and faster and faster. A whirlwind of blood filling the room, getting wider and wider. And suddenly it starts spraying upwards in an enormous helix. And you look up, and Vadim's torch illuminating the air above you. And you see that it is a pillar of blood slamming into the trap door at the top of this chamber. And it sort of squishes against the trap door, slowly pushing through it. Maybe it's through the cracks around the trap door, maybe through the keyhole itself. And then suddenly, it's gone.
Yeah, Vadim.
And Norman is still down on his knees with his cape, and he looks up and he goes, "We did it!"
I'm just picturing like Norman and Trill on the floor, just at this point, soaked
dripping.
in blood,
Dripping. Yes.
because this thing just turned into a tornado of blood. Just
I imagine
throwing it
this-
everywhere. The two of us just look like the end of Carrie.
Mag has used her bloody bedroll to stanch her own bloody wound. Like this, her blood, Belcora's blood. That's all
Blood
just
on blood.
it's
It's
just
it's just a Stephen King novel in here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that novel is not over because Vadim is still bleeding. So at the end of Vadim's turn,
I still have an action. Can I use battle medicine on myself?
actually, no, you can, I'm sorry, you can't use battle medicine on yourself because you used battle medicine on yourself earlier on in the day.
Oh, okay.
And battle medicine is a once a day thing.
Ugh.
It's been a long
that
day.
day that was like, 3 episodes ago, right?
So you are going to take at the end of your turn 1 point of bleed damage,
Okay.
and I need you to make that flat recovery check.
That is a 2.
So that is not a success. On Trill's turn, Trill doesn't have any healing tools or anything like that, but if she wants to, she can attempt to heal him some other way.
Should we rest?
But he's bleeding.
We're
Yes, you can rest
still
as
in
soon as
initiative.
Vadim is done bleeding.
Just give me a moment. I'm fucking bleeding here. It's have some respect, yeah?
How do we stop Vadim's bleeding?
I'll be able to help.
Okay,
Norman says.
Norman, why don't you go and put some gauze on his face?
Oh, I'll
That's
put
what
it
you
right
do,
on those
right?
eyes that are it's just drip, drip, dripping straight out of them. So yeah, it'll be a good place for the gauze.
So it is Norman's turn.
Mag, how trained are you in medicine?
Oh, it's +3.
Okay, I'm the same. I don't know. I feel like, come on, let's be honest. Norman's going to try.
Yeah, you try it and then I'll try it, right? Like I'm gonna have a turn right after, so if you don't do it, I'll piggyback.
That, for Norman, is a 21.
Oh!
Norman rushes up to Vadim, pulls out a healing kit, and starts administering first aid. That is going to be a success, which means that Vadim gets to make a flat check right now.
That's a 20.
Hey.
And Vadim, through the assistance of Norman,
Who knew?
stops bleeding.
In my mind, Vadim looks like in the reality shows about plastic surgery. Like Norman has just put gauze all around his face and a sort of weird mask, and it's just collecting blood.
Norman, this was surprisingly effective. I'm still a bit dubious about your technique, but the ends I can't argue with.
I've been telling you guys all along. And he goes for a fist bump, but Vadim maybe kind of leaves him hanging because of the blood loss.
Mag bumps his fist with her bloody bedroll.
That's going to be terrible to sleep in.
And Norman kind of sniffs at it in an oddly animal way.
You smell something, Norman?
I don't know what this blood was. And can you do any sort of recall knowledge on the remaining blood? Is there anything more to learn about it?
I think that from the recall knowledge check that you did earlier, you know that this is like an aberrant blood magic confluence. I don't think that you know exactly what it is, but when you saw that blood rushing upwards, you know that you didn't defeat it. It just relocated to the top of the lighthouse.
This thing has some sort of, I don't know, blood magic confluence. You might call it an absolute power, just to name another Clint Eastwood movie. Anyways, how's everyone feeling?
I just want to say that there is a Clint Eastwood movie called Blood Work that is also relevant in this situation.
Is that the one where
Mystic
he gets his
River?
heart replaced by a...
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's one of those
By a
movies where
racist.
it's one of those movies where it's like, even though he's not in the credits, Jeff Daniels shows up and you're like, that guy's the bad guy, right? And then yes, he's the bad guy by the end of the movie. It was Jeff Daniels the entire time. Sorry, I just spoiled the 1999 unseen Clint Eastwood thriller Blood Work.
I think we ought to rest up and then hit the top of the tower.
I was going to say, Norman wants to go up.
Trill wants to try and just get some of the blood out of her cloak. Her clothes were so pretty before. She's very sad.
I'm short 14 hit points, so I want to do something. I can treat wounds on myself.
It's 10 minutes per 6 hit points for Vadim's lay on hands.
Okay. I don't know. Are y'all cool with like taking an hour or whatever it is to just get everybody back to full health here? It seems like that makes sense.
Yeah.
As long as we go up tonight.
Oh, we go up tonight. I just want to go up and and the rest of you are back at full strength. I don't want to face that thing again, starting off wounded like this.
Agreed.
Here is a medicine check. And that is 17 on the die for a 20. All right, and here is 2d8.
Here, you need some gauze? Says Norman.
That is a 5.
There's still some left.
Okay, so what that 5 that Mag just rolled means is that you, by the time of about 9:05 at night, are all fully healed up in the base of this lighthouse.
Trill, you don't have any more spell slots today, right?
I have no spell slots.
Who needs them, right?
I can't imagine we're going to need him up there. Seems like it'll be fine.
Hey, Mag, do you think you can carry me? Because these are a lot of stairs.
Mag puts Trill in her pouch.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Climb aboard. And Mag kneels down by Trill, offering her broad shoulders.
Yes.
Which will probably end up hurting us in combat. I am now backpacked 1.
You step foot on these iron stairs. They creak as you step on them and start swaying as you put your weight on them. But each step that you take, the steps remain intact. These stairs wind up 90 feet. And as you walk up, you notice there's a small glass window every 25 feet or so. At the last of these glass windows before the trapdoor, you can look out to the east. You see the ruins of the keep below you. And if you turn to your right and press your face right up against the window, you can see the last lights of the town as things settle down for the day. Another thing that you notice as you look out this small window, if you look straight down towards that office that you were exploring earlier, you see that there is an exposed staircase leading down underground behind a secret wall in that office that you were not able to see on the ground level.
Uh-huh.
Who's in front, by the way? I'm imagining Mag is in front with Trill.
Yeah.
So you're walking up the steps and the trap door is in the ceiling. So you're sort of pressing your fingers into the trap door, and it's a bronze door with a big lock on it. But the door and the lock are covered with blood right now. And looking at the pattern, you get the impression that this blood has funneled its way up through the lock into the next room.
Well, that's a special kind of horrible.
They all, I feel like Norman just wrings one last little bit of blood out of his cloak, sort of in disgust about the whole thing.
Who's got the keys for this? Vadim, did you keep all the keys?
Oh, yes. Hold on. He flicks through his pouch and pulls out the key with the imprint of the lighthouse on it.
So Vadim takes this bronze key with the lighthouse on it, and it goes ka-chunk into the bronze lock. He's able to turn it, and he hears, as he's turning it, 2 enormous locking mechanisms scrape open, and pushing your weight into the trapdoor above your head, you can feel it start to move freely.
All right. I think we're in. Everybody ready?
Mag kneels so Trill can disembark.
Trill gets down. Oh, as we've been going up the stairs, Trill's been chanting her shield spell.
Mag is going to take out a shield as well.
Vadim is looking for traps, searching.
As is Norman. He was like ready to help try and bust the lock if Vadim's key didn't work, but he's been looking for traps and...
You push this door open, It swings over and lands on the floor on the other side with a thud. There's a bronze metallic clang that reverberates around this cupola that you are now standing in. Rows of black metal bars encase this circular chamber like a cage. Shimmering waves of force flicker between the bars and gives the illusion that softly glowing glass encases this entire area. Aside from the trapdoor you just climbed through, this room appears empty, save for a human-sized encasement of glass and iron that flickers and glows with an unsettling, almost nauseating, pale blue shimmer. Gauntlight's lantern. Floating before you, just in front of the lantern, is a shimmering red form that looks like a cloud of blood. It whispers something in a language you don't understand, jerks to the left, twists down to the cupola floor, and then bursts forward, twisting into the shape of a giant mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth.
I mean...
And I need everybody to roll for initiative. Yeah. Roll for initiative.
Trill rolled a 21.
22 for Mag.
Vadim rolled a 16.
And a 7 for Norman.
Okay, really fast for Mag, Trill, and Vadim. They are up first. Norman lagging behind, unfortunately, as you are all crowded around this trapdoor with this shimmering, bloody form in front of you, currently shaped into a mouth with sharp teeth. What is Mag going to do?
Mag has not seen anything quite like this before, and she, for once, is starting the encounter quick on her feet and close enough to potentially hit something. Action 1, Mag rages. She is
Nice.
Nice. She is filled with fury, and as she rages and the blood begins coursing through her body, the sides of her eyes go red and bloodshot, and her magically healed hand begins to pulse and glow a dim but unmistakable shade of crimson.
Does it smell a little bit stronger?
It doesn't smell great. Like a sort of faint odor wafts from behind the shield she still has raised in her magically repaired left hand. With her right hand, she draws the Morning Star with its rune, and that is her second action. And with her third action, she strikes out at this bloody visage in front of her. And that is a 28 to hit.
Ooh.
Critical
Yes.
hit.
You
There
love
it
to
is.
see it. You love to see it.
All right. Mag's Morning Star connects with this mist, and as it slices through the air, it sprays a huge stream of blood along the arc of her strike. And that is 20 damage.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice.
Blood sprays everywhere, and then some of it congeals back into the body as you get the impression that not all of that physical damage went through, but it is still a massive hit as this creature starts twisting in the air and recoiling away from Mag, hissing and whispering as it does so.
This game is much more fun when you crit things and roll max damage.
Mag's damage. Hey-o.
So max damage on the roll, but it does have some resistance, so it's really going to be big hits like that get anything done with this creature.
Nicely done.
It is now Trill's turn. Trill has, I think, according to the math that that David just described with that strike, I think Trill is once again covered with blood. What would she like to do?
So Trill sneers a little bit, not at Mag, not at her dear Mag, but just at the kind of more blood that's come back on her. Just like, oh God, this again.
Ugh, damn.
But she looks this thing, and she's trying to figure out what it is. So she's going to start with some recall knowledge. And so let's start with some lore, I guess.
Sure. Wisp lore doesn't seem like it's relevant to this situation.
Okay.
You could make an occultism check, though.
Occultism. Okay.
Here comes the occultism check from Trill. And she recognizes this as something called a vampiric mist. What this creature does is it lashes out with with the misty form, slicing things and then draining blood from their bodies. She knows also that it is weak to fire damage.
That's not something I have. Okay. So let's instead, because I don't have any fire, and I only have, and frost is kind of the opposite.
So it's not going to be in the line of fire.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and try some lingering composition and inspire courage again for everyone else.
Okay, let's get that performance check.
And that was a much better one. That was a 23 on the 14 on the die for 23.
So that's a success, meaning that your next cantrip is going to last for 3 rounds.
Yes. So she will then go ahead and cast her Inspire Courage. So everyone is going to be inspired courageously for 3 rounds.
So
You're
Trill
welcome.
plays music that
Nice.
fills you with the ability and desire to hit this thing even harder than you previously had. Trill has one more action.
You're welcome. And for her final action, she's going to go ahead and raise her shield again.
Okay, Trill standing face to face with this enemy looming in front of her. It is now Vadim's turn.
So Vadim has his torch out, yeah?
Yeah, Vadim is holding a torch.
So he's going to step.
Torch, you're so smart.
He's
Vadim.
going to use the torch as an improvised weapon. And
So Vadim steps so that this mist is between him and Trill. He's going to take an action to arm that torch like a weapon.
Oh, is it agile? Is the torch agile?
Are torches agile was
I
the
don't
question
think
from
they
R. Matt Humphreys.
are. So
And I'm going to say it is not agile. I'm going to say that this is not a slender dagger meant for stabbing people repeatedly. This is just a torch,
Had you brought your
not
Bic
agile.
lighter, that would have worked. But
Or like a chopstick on fire?
Cool. Then Vadim is not going to do that. He's going to draw his sword. I can't use this, but Mag, perhaps you could. And he will use a free action to, in fact, drop the torch on the ground.
So the torch falls on the ground
but stays lit.
and stays lit. What is next from Vadim?
And then he makes his attack for an 18.
And that 18 against this flat-footed creature with its attention turned between Trill and Vadim is a hit.
Great. Yes. That is 9 damage.
So Vadim slashes at the air, covering his beautiful Aldori dueling sword with blood.
Not the
And
first time.
More of the mist congeals in place. You get the feeling that not all of that damage has gone through again. And at this point, it is the turn of the mist. It can attack any of the 3 people in front of it. I'm going to roll a d3. 1 is Trill, 2 is Mag, 3 is Vadim. This mist is going to swivel around. It turns into an enormous mouth and just clamps down on top of Vadim. And Vadim, that attack roll is not good. That is a 12 to attack.
Vadim nimbly dodges back out of the way, almost dancing. He says, "Is that all you have?"
And then the mist reshapes from a mouth into a giant tongue that attempts to slash across Vadim's chest. Here comes another attack roll. That one's much better. That's a 25 to hit.
That will hit.
So here comes 2d6 slashing damage. That is 9 points of damage to Vadim. As this blood tongue slashes across you, you feel your own blood being sucked out of you. I need a fortitude save.
That is a 12 on the die.
Vadim is paralyzed for a brief moment as this bloody mist puffs up and gets bigger as Vadim's blood starts healing it. And Vadim finds himself now drained 1, which means that he loses hit points equal to his Constitution modifier times his level. And Vadim's con is now effectively 1 lower, meaning his fortitude saves are going to be lower from now on. This goes away when you sleep for the night.
Thank God it's late.
This creature is going to make 1 more attack with its third action. No, it's not. It is pinned between a bunch of you jerks. It is going to fly across towards it is going to fly between Trill and the lantern and start hovering in midair a few feet away.
Ooh.
It is now Norman's turn.
So Norman has been slow on his feet because he is riveted by this light, and he can't decide if he's horrified by it or delighted by it. And somewhere deep in his mind, he has this calling to try and get to this light and figure out what on earth it is. And so he hurls daze at this creature because most of his attention is on this light, and that's like what his body is called to do.
So Norman casts Daze, attempting to invade this creature's mind. And here comes the will save. It's a pretty good roll. It is a 24. It's going to take half damage. It takes 1 point of damage.
Take that. Is it useful for him to recall knowledge about this thing?
I don't know. Do you want to recall knowledge about this thing?
Yes, I do. Occultism?
So Norman searches to see what it is that he knows about vampiric mists and does not seem to know much of anything about them.
Except that they're mitflits.
But also thieves.
Yeah.
So that is it for the round. We are now at the top of round 2. Mag, Trill, Norman, and Vadim are bunched together.
Oh no.
Vadim looking pretty worse for wear, sort of leaning against this lantern to hold himself upright. You hear the sound of footsteps running up the steps from far, far down the lighthouse. It is now Mag's turn.
Mag, want to put your weight on that door?
Thinking about it. So Mag is going to take Vadim's suggestion, use her first action to pick the torch up from the floor.
So you're going to need to move up next to Vadim to where he dropped the torch.
Well, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to move, pick it up, and move again, so I wouldn't be able to
At that point, you could light your own with the same number of moves.
Lars, I have a torch in my inventory. How many actions is it to get it to the point where I could hit the mist with it?
So it's going to be an action for you to take off your backpack, an action for you to reach into your backpack to get the torch. So it's going to be 2 actions for you to get the torch out of your backpack.
My whole turn to light the torch.
And you know what? Lighting a torch takes like a long time, so that's not going to happen in combat.
Right, okay. Mag is going to just try and hit the thing again. Still raging from before.
Any which way you can?
Mag is... Okay. It just
just when you
going.
think the references are done, folks, they keep on rolling. That was a sudden impact from Robin.
I would like to
we're
say...
walking a tightrope here.
I haven't even...
I mean, this has just got me tripping out so much I'm feeling like a space cowboy.
I I haven't even heard of most of these movies. I've just realized at this point in the session that anytime I hear a phrase that sounds specific and I don't recognize it, it must be a Clint Eastwood movie. Okay, so Mag is going to move. Maybe she'll go ahead and move to its north side in order to allow a potential flanking opportunity for someone else. With her second action, Mag is going to try to demoralize this thing. She holds up her shield arm with her pulsing, raging hand, and she screams at it, "You have no business here!" And I will give you that intimidation check.
And it is frightened one. You see it sort of shimmering, the blood flying in front of you starts to ripple in place.
All right, and with my third action, I'm going to make a strike with the Morning Star.
Come on, Meg!
As a 9 on the die for a 18 to hit.
That 18 absolutely hits this
Oh,
frightened,
Yeah.
flying cloud of vampiric blood. Go ahead and roll damage.
That is 9 damage. Does any of that get through?
It seems very slightly injured by that.
All right.
Mag has just charged across the room, screaming and smacking this thing with her Morning Star. What would Trill like to do?
Could I use that torch as a telekinetic projectile?
Oh, boy.
Love that.
Yeah, I can't see any reason why not.
And so it still have the fire attribute, right?
Yes, it would. I
Well,
think that it
that
would still have that fire attribute.
Is
I
an
think-
extremely good idea.
She
Almost
would
I think that's
totally
an
do that.
extremely good idea.
Why, thank
Nice
you.
work.
I only like giving one of those,
But not
so
today.
that was, but not today.
Not today, I'll take it. Why, thank you.
Trill's a real firefox.
Nice.
Clint Eastwood.
So what I'm going to say is that this is typical damage for a telekinetic projectile, but 1 point of the damage you roll is fire.
Let's hope this is a good roll. Oh, okay, not terrible. 16?
16
Ooh.
is a miss.
Oh, no.
Even though it's frightened?
Even though it is frightened, it is just barely not a hit.
Oh, that's so
So
frustrating.
so Trill magically grabs a hold of this torch, flings it across the room, and it lands at Mag's feet.
Well, that's not
Is
bad.
it still lit at Mag's feet?
It is still lit.
Okay, I'll take that.
Fam.
Okay. So I've essentially tossed the torch to Mag.
Right, yeah.
Could be worse.
Absolutely.
So Trill's gonna go ahead and move to kind of the opposite wall so that she's not bunched up with everyone and try and spread out.
It is now Vadim's turn. Vadim is on the far side of the lantern, away from this vampiric mist.
He's just going to take off at a dead sprint, rounding the corner of the light and go, "No, you don't. You don't get away that easily." And then for his second action, he's going to strike. That's a 15 to hit, which I'm going to guess ain't going to do it.
That absolutely is going to do it, as this creature is
Oh.
distracted by Mag on the far side of it.
Love it.
Hey, all right. That is 9 damage.
So again, slicing at the air, blood flies away and then recongeals as this thing twists and pivots and looks at both Vadim and Mag, who are standing on either side of it. It is looking pretty badly injured at this point.
Vadim is going to, using the momentum from his last slash, which has carried him into sort of a guard position, he's going to just flick it down in a quick circle to make another strike attempt. And that is an 18 to hit.
And another hit as it twists away from you once, you slice through it one more time. Go ahead and roll damage.
Roll some damage.
And that is 5 damage.
And you get the impression that you do nothing to it.
Ugh.
The mist at this point twists around to get away from Vadim, flying to the far side of Mag and extending a pillar of sharp blood like the arm from the T-1000 in that movie from forever ago.
Is that a Clint Eastwood movie?
It should have been. I have a fanfic that I wrote for it. But this frightened creature with a slightly less strong attack slashes across Mag's torso with a blade of blood. That is 21 to hit Mag.
Ooh.
That does hit.
I need Mag to make a fortitude saving throw. As I roll maximum damage, first Mag takes 12 points of damage and 1d6 recurring bleed damage.
I'm going to glimpse that.
Okay, so this creature is going to hold the damage back. It's not going to let that go.
Oh, it's got feelings.
So here comes a second strike against Mag. This one's going to be an 11 to hit.
11 does not hit.
Okay, that's it for its turn. It is now no longer frightened as it more confidently starts turning into teeth, blades. It is now Norman's turn.
Norman sees out of the corner of his eye the torch that's burning on the ground by Mag's feet. And for a moment, he tears his eyes off of the blue, unearthly light in the middle of the top of the lighthouse. And he goes, "Light in the darkness," and he then tries to telekinetic projectile the same torch that Trill threw earlier.
Nice.
We were the corpse flingers, and now we're the torch flingers.
This is less disturbing.
That's a 13.
And that 13 misses as the torch again hits this wall of force around the perimeter of the cupola and lands on the far side of this vampiric mist away from Mag.
Norman is going to walk up right next to the light. He's on the other side of it.
So I'm going to say that Norman has cover from this vampiric mist. As we are at the top of round 3, Mag and the vampiric mist are on the north side of this lighthouse cupola. Vadim a short way south, and then Norman and Trill on the far side across this lantern as it spins around, shining blue light out everywhere. It is now Mag's turn.
So you said the torch fell on the opposite side of the creature. The torch is to the east of the creature, and I'm standing to its west along the north side of the room.
Correct.
Dang.
So I could move, pick up the torch, and hit the thing with the torch.
Correct.
That sounds like a pretty good turn. All right. Mag calls out to Vadim. We might want to lock the door.
You think? I don't know. I think we ought to focus on the fight.
You might be right. I have a counterpoint in 4 parts.
Prepare your thesis for defense, yes.
Norman shouts, "I think the lock is on the underside of the door. I'm not sure we could lock it anyways."
Hey, guys. Torch.
Satisfied that she's gotten her point across, and as usual, no one will listen to her. Mag strides around the vampiric mist to its east side, picks up the torch from where it's fallen after Norman's telekinetic projectile strike, and then attempts to... I guess I need to use a free action to drop a weapon, because I have a shield in one hand and a sword in the other. So I will drop the Morning Star. I'll drop the I'll drop the shield. I'm just gonna. Mag is gonna double.
I think dropping the thing you haven't been using is a good choice.
Okay, right. Drops the shield.
Interesting.
Picks, to the floor, and with the same hand she picks up the torch and she swings it at this blood mist creature, and that is an 18 to hit.
So that 18 hits only because of Trill's Inspire
Yes.
Courage that she gave
Trill
you.
girl.
Trill.
So go ahead and roll
Damn,
a
I love Inspire
D4
Courage.
damage for
It's so good.
for the torch.
All right, that's a 3 on the die.
You swing the torch through this mist, and the mist congeals around the torch as you do that. but then the fire starts boiling the blood as you go, and you wind up doing a pretty sizable amount of fire damage to it from the 1 point of fire damage done by the torch. It is now Trill's turn. And the torch is now out.
Yeah, figured. Trill's gonna move up. And
Frost?
I mean, is that insane? Like, is it just so counterintuitive that since fire burns it, that would like frost isn't gonna make it stronger, right?
We could, I mean, it's just something else to try. Otherwise, I would say stay back and recall knowledge about it and try to figure out what the hell to do with this thing. I don't know. The fire was effective. Do you have a torch?
What do you think? You are the expert
We can't
here,
get the torches out, basically, right? We're not going to light another torch.
Like, I feel like Ray of Frost is strong enough that if this thing is pretty damaged, what do you think, Armat?
Yeah, I'd give it a shot, honestly. It's magical damage, which is going to avoid, and it's frost, so it's going to avoid the physical reduction. It might get reduced if it has, but I mean, that's...
I guess really it's water that's the opposite of fire, not ice, right?
I think it's love that's the opposite of fire.
Some say the world
Does opposites
will end
really
in
matter?
fire.
Am I like just being far too binary with this? Okay.
Let's try it.
Ray of Frost it is.
Woo woo!
Oh, so you're going to cast Ray of Frost?
It's so
Yes!
unnerving when you do stuff like that. I know you don't mean for it to be.
Oh. I mean, it was a 20, but I was really hoping I was going to end up rolling a 20 on the die.
That's Trill's world with the dice. All the rest of us are like, did we hit? And Trill's like, was it high enough of a hit?
20 is a hit. As Trill sends a pillar of frost across the room and lands on the form of this misty
Blood
situation.
monster.
And Trill rolls minimum damage at 5.
So 5 damage is enough for this creature to become frozen in place.
Ooh.
And then it's like red snowflakes tumbling to the ground slowly. And you have defeated the vampiric mist.
Hello, Battle Bard.
And at this point, the footsteps coming up the stairs get louder and louder. And 2 things happen simultaneously. You see the familiar white hair, opaque eyes, and horns
As our girl Rin.
of Rin Savinxi, out of breath, getting to the top of these stairs. I had a feeling that this would happen tonight. I hope I wasn't too late to help you if you needed help.
You're right on time.
You're just
And
where
the other thing that happens at the same time is that these frozen bits of blood melt, and you watch as they start running in a river down towards the trapdoor, falling back to the floor of the lighthouse below,
where they were,
and-
where we found them.
where they were, where you found them.
Gross.
Boy, I hope we don't have to deal with that every time we come up here.
I don't know if I'm ever leaving. And Norman has just got his hand pressed up against the glass of this light.
That's not disconcerting at all, Norman.
Rin, have you seen magic like this before? Is this what's lighting the lighthouse?
Rin, it's my light, Norman says, and his hand is still just pressed against it.
It seems as though the light is still shining, but whatever it is that's fueling this is still going. There must be something down below powering this thing. And this is an incredibly disappointing realization to see that this light is still shining.
Trill walks around the whole light, just looking at it in awe.
It's terrifying, but it's kind of beautiful.
It is. I only fear for what it could possibly mean or signify.
Or do.
Is
Rin.
Norman okay?
Rin.
Norman, are you okay? Yeah.
Rin, how do I
And
control
Rin-
it?
Norman, I'm a little worried about you. Maybe we should head back to town.
I'm not leaving.
Rin,
how do I control it?
Rin?
I don't think that you can control this. I've tried to help you in the past, but and she walks up to you and whispers in your ear and she says, Ao, you cannot stay here.
Hey, Norman, this isn't funny.
And all of a sudden, Norman just passes out. And as he does, he turns into a silver-colored fox.
And we'll pick up from there next time.
Oh my goodness. The Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. The Roots of Ruin uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's Community Use Policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way. Original characters and content are the property of Tabletop Gold. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Email us at letters@tabletopgold.com and find all our social links at tabletopgold.com.